What's up, the world? It's your boy Tommy Mav, and I came to basically speak on this issue that's going on in our community. First, I want to touch on the Lakers, but I really, as far as the Lakers goes, kind of the same name I've been saying that, you know, Thomas Bryant is a good player. I really love him. I love that addition that they added him. The problem I have with the way they play is Thomas Bryant spends too much time off the court with AD. Okay, I think that him, Gabriel, and Thomas Bryant would be with LeBron and maybe a Austin Reeves or Russell Westbrook. I think that they will be great on the field. I mean on the court at the same time. This is my problem that I have with the rotation. Okay, I'm tired of seeing LeBron and AD with three guards. Okay, it does not work. 90% of the time, they either lose leads or they're getting blown out because they can't rebound, they can't cover anybody. Because I like Patrick Beverly; he's a great defender, but he cannot shoot. He's not shooting well. Neither is Dennis Schroeder, and neither is and whoever other guard they got if it's off and on. Now Lonnie Walker didn't play last night, but I think Lonnie Walker's a great player, great addition that they just forget. You know what I mean? I can't watch those games sometimes because Lonnie Walker is such a good player, and it's like at times they get so LeBron AD centric that they forget about Lonnie Walker. And I think that's the difference between when Lonnie Walker and difference between Russell Westbrook when he plays. When Russell Westbrook plays, he knows his limitations, so he's constantly looking for people to get the ball to. So Lonnie Walker eats with Russell Westbrook. But Lonnie Walker is too good of a player for them to not factor him in a lot of scenarios. They forget about that guy. He'll be standing out there on the corner with nothing. No matter how high, it's not that he's shooting bad, it's not that he's not doing good. They just forget about him. And LeBron that other night was the difference. There's no other way to say that other than LeBron needed to play better than he did. He played great in the first half, and in the second half, I don't know what he was doing. They got up by 17, and he just started shooting some of the worst shots I've seen him shoot all in his career. Just taking bad shot after bad shot. Westbrook started turning the ball over, yes, but LeBron was shooting some bad shots. He was making some bad decisions, and he's a great shooter, and he's streaky, so he can get hot, but you cannot do that to your team. Okay, some nights it's just not your night, and when you've had 3 or 4 shots that are missed, you have to realize, okay, this is not my night to take over and start shooting. This is my night to facilitate, and I think LeBron in that instance did not facilitate well. He's starting to have a lot of problems with the way the teams, because the Lakers don't move well. Right, don't move well without the ball. AD hunkers down in the paint a lot of times, which ends up causing it so LeBron has to shoot more, and the other people just stand and watch. They don't move. They don't pick. The only one that really move is the guy number 7. I can't really remember his name, but he moves. But other than him, he's really. I mean, Lonnie Walker should be moving. Russ moves a lot, but most of the time they play in the paint. I mean, they play off Westbrook, so Westbrook really can't cut to the basket a lot of times. But other than that, you know, Schroeder doesn't, Beverly doesn't, and Patrick Beverly, I don't know what his problem is. That guy misses so many passes. Like, you'll see people streaking wide open and he'll hold the ball. I don't know why he does that. They need to stop him from doing that. But definitely Thomas Bryant needs to play more with AD. I 100% believe Thomas Bryant and AD would make a crazy combo. Okay, Wenyen Gabriel is fine playing with the second unit. alongside Westbrook and Thomas Bryant as well. I think that Thomas Bryant should bleed into the first and the second, then take a rest, and then you can bring AD back, in mid second. I mean, when you bring him back, you can bring him back in the mid of the second with Thomas Bryant playing. No, I guess you can't really do that because then Thomas Bryant would have to basically play the whole first quarter. So I don't know how they would do it, but I think they stagger the minutes. Darvingham does a better job of staggering the minutes than what's it called did last year. Darvingham seems like he's a good coach, but he needs to stop with the 3-guard lineups. I mean, they get destroyed when they have those 3 guards out there. He needs to stop with that. Last night, I understand he was forced to because Lonnie Walker and whatever his name is, I cannot remember his name. Number 7, the 3-and-D guy. I don't remember his name. He's a great defender. But his 3 comes and goes. Neither one of them played last night, so they played a lot of 3-guard lineups, which against the Trailblazers was killing them. Okay, they had no rim protection, and they just kept getting to the rim. So, but yeah, I expect Lonnie Walker and him to be back against the Bucks, and I think against the Bucks they'll play a lot. I think their game will be a lot more better defensively. LeBron played an ass-poor game against the Pacers. They should have won that game going away. LeBron's defense was horrible. He looked old. He looked tired. He was not closing out on shots. AD was doing it a lot too, not closing out on shots, watching from far away and hoping people miss. Okay, this hope you miss defense is not going to beat anybody, not in today's climate. Now, maybe in the 90s it would have got away, but these guys shoot way too well now to be sitting up that's doing these dare you shot 3-point shots. Okay, get to close out on the shooter, make him speed up his routine. But this stand in the paint, dare you to make the shot jump was just stupid. They did that 3 or 4 times, which they made it every time. Okay, this is not 2004. It's not 2008. All these guys can shoot. And you cannot be daring guys to make threes. Even a center, you can't really dare to make threes anymore. Okay, because they will knock them down. So the Lakers need to stop doing it. Against the Trailblazers, they didn't do that. They were closing out on shooters. They were closing out. LeBron had a superb game last night. Defensive and offense, extremely efficient. A lot of shots was falling, yes, that weren't falling the night before. But his 3-point shot has been on over the last 3 or 4 games. He has been nailing that 3. When he gets the ball and gathers, he's generally you generally assume it's going to go in. That's how good LeBron's been shooting. But that being said, he was 2-ball dominant against the Pacers. Way 2-ball dominant. And he took the ball out of Westbrook's hand at a time when Westbrook was cooking. Okay? I don't think he does that if that's AD. I think it's a respect back that you got to have for a guy like Russell Westbrook when he got it going like that. Just let him close you out. Let him take you home. There was no need for LeBron to start dominating the ball again. And he started dominating the ball, and he was making turnover after turnover after turnover. And this has been a theme since he got back from that injury. He'll have an extremely good game and an extremely bad one. Extremely good one, extremely bad. So I'm just, because he's LeBron, it's not extremely bad. It's just less for LeBron, it's bad. Like, for anybody else, it would be a normal game. But for LeBron, it's bad. Even though he'll score 20 points, it'll take him 20 shots to get there. He have these games, he's going back and forth when he got a lot of turnovers, and he missing shots that he normally makes, and he's not really getting to the rim. He just kind of doing he's mid at that point. And I think LeBron is more of a facilitator by nature. You know what I'm saying? He wants to try to get people involved, but I think sometimes when he goes into the game with the mindset that he's going to be a facilitator, he tries to turn on his shot late, and he's just off rhythm. And a lot of times he'll go into He'll start the game hot, and then he'll go into facilitator role and start passing the ball around, and then he'll get cold again. And he can't make a shot. And then he'll stay cold for two quarters, and then he'll hit a shot later on, and he'll kind of get back to mid, and then but by the time it's there, the ball is just too many people eating now. Too many people can score the ball for the Lakers. For them to be just heavily putting that much emphasis on LeBron. I think they put way too much emphasis on LeBron in that Pacers game, and they didn't really have to. I understood the years before where LeBron basically would have to bail them out with his play. I think this team is not really like that. I think this team can get you buckets. They can play. Lonnie Walker can get you buckets. Austin Reeves can get you buckets. Kendrick Nunn can get you buckets. Schroeder can get you buckets. Westbrook can get you buckets. AD can get you buckets. LeBron can get you buckets. They can get buckets. Okay? Now they just need to buy in and stop. And against the Pacers, their defense was horrid. They were allowing. They were so focused on getting rebounds, and they're one of the best rebounding teams in the NBA, so I understand that. But they were so focused on getting rebounds, they were not closing out on their shots. And when you don't close out on your shot against a good shooting team like the Pacers, they are going to tear you up. The Pacers shoot more threes than anybody in the NBA. They're like the Warriors. They just chunk them up. And too often you gotta know the tape. You can't be running into the paint when you know that their first priority is the three. And LeBron on that last shot, there's no way in the world when you play in the Indiana Pacers who love the three-point shot, and the last thing you need is a three-point shot, you should have got caught ball watching. And LeBron got caught ball watching. You cannot do that. Now these people that, you need to trade LeBron. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, okay? And so is hate. LeBron reminds me of Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson reminds me of LeBron, but it's like, those who hate LeBron never really hate him because of what he does on the field. It's always extenuating circumstances. But Lamar Jackson, this is about the fact that if Lamar Jackson becomes the standard for quarterback, it's going to be real hard for white guys to play quarterback. So these guys got to act like they're being unbiased when the truth of the matter is they know a lot of their races ability to play that position is being in jeopardy if everybody is like Lamar Jackson. So they cannot undervalue what a pocket quarterback brings while acknowledging how different Lamar Jackson is. To say that Lamar Jackson is a once in a generation player, and once everybody starts trying to, if Lamar Jackson becomes the standard, meaning people have to be Lamar Jackson to play quarterback, or they can't compete with other teams who have Lamar Jackson type of quarterbacks, that's the death knell for guys, big, slow guys who can throw the ball, which is 90% of their kids. So if that is the case, they're going to try to get Lamar Jackson out as fast as they can. Same thing when it comes to LeBron. I think that it's an extenuating search. It's something that goes beyond the game, that why people hate LeBron. Either it's you're a Jordan fan or you're a right winger that doesn't like that he speaks about social issues. Those are the two things I think people hate the most about LeBron James. I don't think it really has much to do with him as a basketball player. I think, and then it just bleeds into they're watching him as a basketball player, and it comes off like they have legitimate reasons, but they're really just nitpicking based on things. Oh, he was 8 of 22. Bro, if I can show you some of the games that I've seen this year with players that are supposed to be marquee players that have shot terribly and wouldn't stop shooting. Luka does this like every other night. Well, he'll have 28 shots for 31 points. Luka Doncic, to me, is the biggest freaking... I don't even understand that putting him in the top 5 of players. He is not. Luka Doncic reminds me of a slow, worse defending James Harden. Hell of a lot of free throws, which I used to wonder, why do they give James Harden so many free throws? They give James Harden so many free throws because they needed to establish that precedent, right? Of just giving them free throws for shit just because. When you're a jump shooter, we're going to give you more calls. Why? Because that's the position, just like I said with Lamar Jackson, that's the position that's the only way that they're going to be able to thrive in that sport, by allowing jump shooting and not being able to press up on them when they do jump shoot. That's the way they're going to survive. If you take that away, they are extremely, extremely less efficient, right? They can't make their shots. A lot of them, they can't make shot under pressure. So, yeah, when you start to call fouls for jump shooters more than guys who attack the rims, which is just retarded to me, you make it easier for the jump shooter. That's why Steph Curry is able to thrive so much, and Devin Booker. Devin Booker would have never been able to thrive in the 90s. He's just not that strong. And for him to try to take shots like he does, they would have been underneath him every shot. And they would have been every time he was going up, they would have been forcing him back, causing him to have to shoot on his back foot, all that stuff. But you can't do that anymore. You have to allow them to go up, free release, and then come back down. So now these guys who were crazy, who would have probably been marginal shooters in the 90s, they're now ridiculous because you have to allow them to have their complete form, or it's a 3-point, or it's a foul. So I just hate that all these rules, just like the NFL, sooner or later it's gonna destroy the NBA. Okay, because that's what I feel they did to the NFL. Right? When you used to have your Jerry Rices, Randy Mosses, these guys who could catch the ball and make moves, and running backs so you can pitch the ball. Now it's not that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Running back they've abolished the running back. Right? The running back is purely there to offset passing. Right? To just hand the ball off and make them go straight up the middle. Right? And that's only a few teams that really do that. Most teams don't even do that. The running back consists of draws and shotgun sweeps. Okay? They've destroyed the running back position, which was one of the biggest draws athletically to watch football. You know, your Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Walter Paytons, you know what I'm saying? O.J. Simpsons, those type of guys, these once-in-a-lifetime athletes, Jim Browns, once-in-a-lifetime athletes you never seen before, that's do amazing things you never seen. And the wide receivers from yesteryear are gone. The Andre Johnsons, Randy Mosses, you know what I'm saying? Guys who can catch the ball and go 70 yards in the drop of a hat, make people miss and go 90 yards. Like he couldn't catch it anywhere. Jerry Rice catch a ball, you know, a 16-yard slant, take it 100 yards. You don't have those guys anymore. These guys will catch the ball, fall, catch the ball, fall, catch the ball, fall, catch the ball, fall. And it's so annoying to watch because it is just purely based on the rules. If anybody don't understand why it's like that because the pocket quarterback was dying off, right? At a time when it was the best quarterbacks in the league were Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper. These were guys who could run and throw the ball, right? Randall Cunningham, but he was later in his career, and then Warren Moon, right? All of these guys were black quarterbacks, and that was around the time when Peyton Manning was good, but really he wasn't that good, right? And he couldn't win a playoff game because most of the time when he played a good defense, he sucked, right? So what they do, they changed the rules, right? They changed the pass interference rule that basically said you couldn't press guys at the line of scrimmage aggressively. That used to have to be a wide receiver. You used to have to be quick or strong enough to get off the line of scrimmage. You had to know what you was doing. You couldn't just come in and just play that position like that. You couldn't just run off free release. That's why all these little short, small white guys who couldn't play wide receiver 10 years ago are all of a sudden great wide receivers. Is because they changed that rule. The Wes Welkers and all these New England Patriot wide receivers who couldn't get off the line of scrimmage before, now all of a sudden they're just running and going in the center. Before, when I played football, if you were a wide receiver and you tried to come across the middle of the field, the linebacker would ear hold you. it was allowed. If you tried to come across the field, it wasn't a mismatch with the linebacker because the linebacker didn't have to guard you. The minute he saw you coming across that field, he would ear hole you. So you knew if you were not big, or only people that went across that middle were tight ends, because wide receivers never made it. Because linebacker was just bam and just blow you up. That was how they covered the curl back in the day. But now they changed the rules, so linebackers couldn't do that no more. You can't touch them after 5 yards. So now these guys got to get their hands off the wide receivers, and most of the time, these wide receivers are hand fighting, pushing off all types of stuff, and obviously they're very selective on who they call it for. But when you watch the game, that's what you get: a bunch of wide receivers just running, getting 1v1s with linebackers, 1v1s with safeties, when they never could do that before. So now these guys are catching up, running, beating these guys 1v1, but they're not good. They're not really athletic. So they catch the ball and fall, because they know that they're a slight second from being covered. It's like they're open for a second fall. It's because they don't know how to, they don't play wide receiver. They want great receivers like the receivers from 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. They're worse wide receivers. They're just able to exploit a rule that was implemented to help the pocket quarterback. Then they switched up, and then people started to blitz. Okay, so, all right, if the quarterback chooses to try to throw the ball quick, we're going to just start blitzing it. Blitzing the A-gap, blitzing him across his face and getting our hands up so he can't throw it, right? But then they start to implement all these protections in the pocket. So it almost became dangerous to sack a guy in the pocket, because if you sacked him in the pocket, you had to hit him from here to from his chest to his waist, to above his knees, which is extremely hard to do when a guy can move at any point. If my launch point is your midsection and you just back up, now all of a sudden, if you back up a yard, I'm hitting your knees, and that's a foul. So now these guys are not coming off with reckless abandon. They're coming off and measuring to try to make sure they hit them in the proper place, which is destroying the game. So now these quarterbacks are getting an extra second, extra 2 seconds, and they're just picking teams apart. And it's just making the game so unsoulful. It's like there's no soul to the game of football anymore. It's just formulaic. Take 5 yards, catch the ball, fall. Give the ball to the running back, 3 yards, fall. It's just not the same game. It's boring as hell to watch. Only team I watch now is Lamar Jackson. Because I know Lamar Jackson is one of the old throwback guys that you say, I'm going to see something today that I've never seen before. Not a guy throwing 2-yard slants, 5-yard outs. You know what I'm saying? It's just boring. And it's like, my God, you think I want to watch a guy stand in a pocket, completely protected? Not when he does get sacked, they're almost acting like they're sacking a woman, and it's like you cannot. It's boring. They're taking the soul out of the game, and they're going to do the same thing in basketball. They're constantly trying to find ways. And I'm glad, but at least basketball players have actual players there. So yeah, they are making it harder to guard jump shooters, but they also are adding rules like that take foul, that is stopping teams from just fouling people and taking some of the athletic plays out of the game. And that's why basketball to me is going to be more popular than football at some point, because football is boring now. It's turned into baseball to me, which is just catch, fall, catch, fall, catch, fall, catch, fall, catch, fall, run, fall, 3 yards, fall, 5 yards, fall, 7 yards, fall. It's just like, my gosh, nobody does anything exciting anymore. It's just boring as hell. And unless you're rooting for the team, you really ain't got a reason to watch it. But I say I don't want the soul of basketball to be gone, but it clearly looks like it's headed in that direction, where these jump shooters are becoming the priority player. But Luka Doncic, to me, is not a great player, not a terrible player. He's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. He's really good, but I think that he's so overrated. I hate watching him play. I think the guy gets fouls like he was getting fouls from the get go, and like I said, I think it comes from bias. I think these guys want him to do well, and these referees want him to do well, and all he does is go to the foul, go to the line. No, he can't get around anybody. Bullies them, trying to get his way in. When he can't bully him, he tries to do a fadeaway. 90% of the time he initiates contact. That's why I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, why don't you call him like you call LeBron? Like, the reason for why they don't call a lot of fouls for LeBron and why LeBron is so hard is because LeBron initiates a lot of contact. Luka almost initiates contact every time he goes to the hole. He drops his shoulder and he initiates contact. So why are you able to see the foul when it comes to Luka Doncic, but when it comes to LeBron, you for some reason you don't see, and you allow a lot of fouls to his body. LeBron gets fouled to his body damn near every time he drives to the hoop, because he's too quick to stay in front of him. And if he and once he gets around you, there's really nothing you can do. He's too powerful. You're not going to be able to knock him off his path. And once he gets around you, he's just going to take it hard to the rim. Once he takes it hard to the rim, you only got two options. You can either foul him or you can let him score. So, but a lot of times what people have done is they just take their arm and they just shove LeBron every time he goes to the rim. And because he's so strong and so fast, he's able to just get through the brush through the contract because he's always trying to get and ones. But in his need to get and ones, a lot of times he ends up not selling the foul. And because he doesn't sell the foul, a lot of times they don't call it. But Luka Doncic doesn't even try to sell the foul either. He's also always trying to get and ones. The difference is they always call it, man, for him. And he almost always initiates contact. He drops his shoulder, goes into defenders almost every time. He's constantly going into their chest. He's initiating the contact, and most of the time he's not fat. They don't really have to move from their spot because he's not that quick. He can't really get around people. So most of the time they just plant, and he goes into them, and then he'll go into them, and he'll do a lot of moves. He's very skilled, and he can go over either shoulder. He's a good player, but I think they bail him, like James Harden. I think they bail him out a lot with those fouls. I hate watching their games. He reminds me so much of James Harden, where he's just always begging for fouls. Except James Harden was not one that begs for fouls. He just understood how to get them. Luka Doncic makes me annoyed because he's always complaining about being fouled, and he's not even being fouled. A lot of times he's initiating contact, and he's getting fouled 9 out of 10 times, and then when he doesn't get it, he cries. Like, bro, we can't be giving you fouls every time you coming down here. You running, diving in people's chest, trying to get them to call a foul when you are the person initiating the contact. I don't know, but like I said before, I think I had a discussion with somebody, and I said he's just gonna be another James Harden. He's gonna be great until he has to be, until he goes against a team that he can't just get a bunch of fouls. Team that's going to be good defensively, and the referees will not be able to give him fouls like that, because they basically, every time he would get a point, it would be a foul. And after a while, they got to stop. They can't just keep calling fouls for him every time he flails his body towards somebody and try and give him those fouls. And if he does not get fouls, Luka Doncic is James Harden without the three-point shot. So you better hope that he gets fouls, because if he does not get his fouls, he is extremely, extremely inefficient. He holds the ball for long periods of time, generally does not make people miss, and then generally flails to draw fouls. That's what James Harden did, and you saw what happened to James Harden the minute they stopped calling those fouls for him. He became extremely, extremely inefficient. Meaning he gives up a lot of points on the other end, and offensively he doesn't stop anybody. I mean, offensively he's not giving the points that counteract what he's giving up defensively. And bringing in Christian Woods, I thought Christian Wood was a genius idea by the Mavericks. He's a very good player. But like Porzingis, look what Porzingis is doing with the Wizards. He's having a great season. But when he played for Luka Doncic, he couldn't do anything. Why? Because it's hard to play off a guy that holds the ball that long and shoots that many shots. So it's hard. I've never been a fan of those type of players. The guys that hold the ball forever, and then when they lose, they're like, well, nobody helped him. It's like, well, he didn't give anybody an opportunity to help him. And LeBron, I've never historically seen be that way until the Pacers game. That was the first time I looked at the game and said, LeBron is playing extremely selfish right now. And that's not something that I generally will say about LeBron, because LeBron generally does not play selfishly. But in that game against the Pacers, it seemed like he was trying to outdo Russell Westbrook. And I never got that from LeBron. It seemed like he liked to see his teammates do well. And in that game, it seemed almost if he was trying to prove a point. And I don't think that was a need to do that. I think that the people are solidly behind LeBron, and there's no real need for him to try to prove anything. And it seemed like he was trying to. What he was trying to prove, I don't know. But it was hard. And anyways, I just wanted to come on and speak on that because, you know, I'm a Lakers fan, and because of, well, I'm a LeBron man. You know, like I'm a Kevin Durant fan, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a Giannis fan. Like you know, I just like to watch great basketball, and LeBron's one of the players that I like to watch. I'm not a Lakers fan. I actually, one of the franchises I hate the most. But I'm going to root for players that I like, and generally, I like Russell Westbrook, and I like LeBron, and I like AD. So, you know, I like all three of them. So I root for the Lakers because I like the players. I don't really have favorite teams. I just have players I like to watch. And oddly enough, Luka Doncic is one of the players I like to watch before he just got to a point where he's turning to James Harden and he's shooting free throws every 2 seconds. It's like, dude, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. It's boring. When he was the younger Luka that would take people off the dribble and make these crazy shots, and his bag was deep. I like that Luka. I don't like this new league Luka that I'm just going to run into people and hope I get a foul. I don't like that Luka. I think he's exploiting the bias of the referee, and that to me, I'm just not with that. I'm not down with that. But that being said, you know, I think the Lakers are gonna have a good season. I think they're turning around. They're 5 or 6 and 2 in their last 7 or 8 games. You can make the argument that they were probably 7 and 1. They lost a game to the Pacers that they should have won. They lost their game. The other game they lost to the Suns. You can make the argument they didn't have LeBron, and that game was extremely close. That was the game where Pat Bev got suspended because DeAndre Ayton was acting like an idiot. That game was amazing to me. DeAndre Ayton didn't do jack crap that whole game. Played awful. Got like 1 block on AD and tried to act like he was just the beast. And then AD came down like a play later and scored right over his head. I think DeAndre Ayton is extremely immature, and he's not really that good. Defensively, he's a great stalwart, but he plays himself off the court a lot of times because offensively he's just not aggressive. And without Chris Paul, he's really not that good. You saw that he's just another player without Chris Paul. But the Lakers, I think they're turning the corner. I think at the beginning of the year they had a lot of people in their rotation that shouldn't have been in their rotation. I knew Thomas Bryant was huge. I was very upset when Thomas Bryant was not in there because he was one of the. If you go back and look at now, this is not hindsight. Go back and look at my analyzation of the Laker pickup. Thomas Bryant was the one I was the most excited about. I love Thomas Bryant when he played for the Wizards with Russell Westbrook. Him and Russell Westbrook had chemistry. They worked well together, and just like I said in the video, so I'm not saying this in hindsight, because a lot of times I say stuff and people think that it's hindsight because I'll say it. I think I say it after the fact because it's so accurate, and it's not. I always liked Thomas Bryant. He was one of the ones I was most excited about, but I thought they would be playing him with AD. They're not playing him with AD. They're playing, and I thought they would bring Melo back, which they haven't. And I can understand that because defensively, Melo is just not there. He was very, very injury prone last year. He missed a lot of games. So what can you say? Lonnie Walker was a great pickup. I was not expecting Lonnie Walker. I didn't really watch him when he played for the Spurs, so I did not know what to expect from him. That guy, Troy Williams, I think his name is, was not really expecting much from him, but I think he's been a great 3-and-D guy. His shot comes and goes, but he's still a great aggressive defender, and I think he's aggressive offensively, and I think his shots are starting to fall, but I think he's a great pickup for them. Dennis Schroeder, I do not like, but they need him defensively because they need a defensive guy who can also play, who also score. But I don't really understand why you split taking minutes from Austin Reeves and giving it to Dennis Schroeder. I don't why LeBron likes Dennis Schroeder so much. I just don't really get it. Patrick Beverly should be a role player at best. He shouldn't be starting. I think the starting lineup should be Bryant, AD, LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Lonnie Walker. I think that should be the starting lineup. Great, and off the bench, I think should be Troy Williams, William Gabriel, Westbrook. William Gabriel, Westbrook, and who's the other? Who else would I say? William Gabriel, Westbrook, Troy Williams. Then Patrick Beverly, and I don't know. I think Christie needs more minutes too because he's long and they need more 3-and-D guys. But yeah, I think that should be the rotation. And if you're going, if you're going 12-man rotation, I would add in maybe, maybe who else do they even have outside of those 10? I mean, those 10 are good enough for me. I think Patrick Beverly should be coming off the bench with Russell Westbrook, but I think Troy Williams, William Gabriel, Westbrook need to be in that because you got Troy Williams who can play D and shoot the 3. You got William Gabriel who is a hard worker who makes plays. But I think Thomas Bryant and AD need to be starting. So does Austin Reeves with Lonnie Walker and LeBron. I think that would be a monster starting lineup. But I was just saying that, y'all. Please comment. Let me know what y'all think. If you support what I'm saying or you don't, regardless, let me hear about it in the comment section. Thumbs it up if you like it. And all right, y'all. Peace.